Okay, Hare Krishna. So what did we do in our previous class? Let's do a quick recap. We are studying the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, called as Knowledge of the Absolute. So what is the knowledge of the Absolute? What does it encompass?
The material and spiritual energy of the Lord.
So knowledge of the Absolute has got two components. The material energy called as Prakriti, and the spiritual energy called as, we don't know. So one is called as, both are called as, in one sense, one is called as para and one is called as apara. Separated energies and not separated energies. Okay, so essentially material and spiritual energies. Why is this knowledge required? Everyone is having a blank face. Yeah, to cultivate detachment from matter. Other than what is it? Too much prasadam. Yesterday also. Okay. So what did we discuss in the previous class in that context? Which verses did we do from in the previous class? 7.4 to 7.12. Yeah. So what's happening 7.4 to 7.12 we are going to do today because we just read the purport but we didn't discuss much. So 7.4 to 7.11, what was nice? 7.11. What did we discuss?
We learned about the creation from Mahatma.
Correct. Where is Preeti Mataji? Yes. We described the process of creation. Which creation did we discuss? What are the two types of creation? What are they called as? What are they also? They are the 10 subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam deals with 10 subject matters, and then the first two are what? Sarga and Visarga. Who is responsible for Visarga? Who is responsible for Sarga? Where does Sarga end and Visarga begin?
Milky Ocean.
Milky Ocean is the... you're talking about the abode of Mahavishnu, but where does Sarga and Visarga? Where does...
Before Mahavishnu starts creating is Sarga.
Okay. Who can explain the process of creation based on last time's class? Very cogently. You wait. You're answering all the questions. Someone else. Hold on. Who can explain the process of creation? You were there last class? No. Srinivas Prabhu. You're trying to avoid seeing me. The process of creation. What is the first thing that happens? One minute. I don't want him to escape today.
From Mahavishnu for...
What comes out from Mahavishnu's pores? Okay, everyone can participate. What comes out? Universes come out. What shape are they? Egg-shaped universes. Then what happens? When he inhales or when he exhales? When he exhales, egg-shaped universes come. Okay. Then what happens? It's only a shell, but there is no masala inside the shell. Where that masala comes from inside the shell? Mahavishnu glances, that is that the first step or something else happens?
Brahman.
Brahman. So, what is Brahman?
Spiritual
Brahman is the effulgence of the Lord and also what?
Original spiritual and material.
Correct. Brahman is the source of everything of spirit as well as with the super source. The source of Brahman is what? Bhagwan. Okay, that is taken for granted, no doubt. Bhagwan is responsible for everything. But the creation process, Bhagwan, from Bhagwan comes Brahman. Brahman is equal to two things.
Source of spiritual and material.
Spiritual plus material. That is the source of spiritual plus material. Okay. Then what happens? Everything is Brahman. Now what happens? Initially there is no material. Everything is Brahman, effulgence. In one corner, what happens now? In one corner of the spiritual sky is the primeval cosmic material substance called as Pradhan. Okay. Now this Pradhan is in which state? Inactive state. How does the Pradhan come into active state? Which is called as what? Who is the person responsible? You will remember this throughout your life. Her daughter's name Rama. Okay, so Rama Devi and Sadashiva. So that in fact it is said that the glance of Mahavishnu is Sadashiva. So Sadashiva and Rama Devi with their interplay, then the Pradhan is agitated to the glance of Mahavishnu, and then it becomes Mahatattva. And then what happens? And then Mahatattva is what?
Contains the 8 elements, 5 gross and 3.
Correct. Mahatattva contains the 5 gross and the 3. In total, how many elements do they contain? 24 elements. What are the others? We don't know. The 5 knowledge acquiring senses, the 5 working senses, and then 23 we saw. One is what?
Deactivated, inactive.
Okay. Everyone remembers now?
What is the 24th one? 24th.
You missed last class. That was the video. So there are 24 elements. Which are the 24 elements? Mahesh told.
Earth, water, fire, ether, air.
These are 5 gross. 3 subtle, you know. Then what?
Mind, intelligence, false ego.
Those are 3 subtle. So 8.
Then 5 sense.
5 sense objects are there. Sense of smell, sense of touch.
Here.
But if you only have the sense of smell and touch, and if you don't have the working senses, then also there is a problem, no? The sense of sight is there, but you need eyes also to see. Isn't it? So like that. So there are knowledge acquiring senses, then there are working senses. You can see the details in the Bhagavad Gita. I'm not going to that, but they all come to what? 23. And then one is Pradhan itself, the undifferentiated substance. That is 24. 24 material
I
elements are.
have read in the Bhagavad, Prabhupada said the mind, intelligence and false ego, after that the contaminated consciousness is the 24th element. I read.
Yeah. So in different sections of Bhagavatam, the 24th element is described differently. We discussed in the last class.
So which one we can take?
Take everything. Just chant and go back to God. At the end of the day, this is just for knowledge. It's not very important to know which is the 20. Yeah, we know. 24th element is described differently in different sections. Doesn't matter for our spiritual life.
So can I ask a question?
Yes, go.
The role of Sadashiva and Rama Devi in terms of activating the Pradhan. So Rama Devi is the same Lakshmi Devi, or is it somebody else? Lakshmi Devi's name is Rama
She is
Devi.
part of Shakti Tattva. There are 2 tattvas, no? Vishnu Tattva and Shakti Tattva. So she is part of Shakti Tattva. Shakti Tattva, everybody comes under. All feminine expansions or incarnations come part of Shakti Tattva. Starting from Radharani. Radharani is the original source. From there, all other
But
stuff.
should we consider Rama Devi here as wife of Sadashiva or as a different entities? Because Rama Devi is actually basically Lakshmi Devi, Uma Devi or otherwise.
Rama Devi. I'm very clear. Rama Devi.
Okay.
Rama Devi. So when I studied, Kesha Prabhu did not mention any such relationship of Sadashiva and Rama Devi. He didn't mention anything there. He just mentioned that these are the 2
Because
personalities involved.
Because
Sorry.
2 feminine and male gender is mentioned here.
Yeah.
So and for any creation that
But it's not a union of Sadashiva and Rama Devi. Please don't misunderstand that. He didn't mention.
That's-
I also did not mention union. I said they both are responsible.
responsible. Okay.
Okay. So now we have the Mahatattva. Now up until this point in time, what is it called as? Sarga. And now what happens? So up until this point of time, idli batter is ready. Now it has to be given shape and cooked to form idlis without CT, without putting CT. So they have to now give it shape. And that, who does that? Brahma. So all that we saw. Why don't you take a chair? Mataji ki taraf.
Give 2 minutes break. Just put straw. Put some more chairs.
Okay, anything else that we discussed?
We also discussed how to see God in very small day-to-day things.
Correct. Very good.
And the water, and the taste in the water, smell in the
Was that the previous class?
Yes, that was it.
So Rasoham Hapsu Kaunteya, we did it in the previous class.
Yeah.
So the Lord, yeah, exactly, correct. So the Lord has got, so the Lord is mentioned as the cause of all causes. The Lord is mentioned as the cause of all causes. That's why we are engaging in this discussion on spiritual energy, material energy, right? The Lord has got not only cause of all causes, but the Lord is also the supreme controller. That also we saw somewhere, right? We saw 3 aspects. The Lord as the cause of all causes, the Lord as the supreme controller, and then the Lord as the essence of everything. 3 things we saw, correct? Lord is the controller, we saw when with the verse Mayi Sarvam Idam Protam Sutre Maniganaiva. We saw that verse. That the Lord is the thread which controls everything. It's a common link across all the operations of the universe, like that, keeping everything in order. And then we saw that Lord is not only the cause of all causes and the controller, but He is the essence of everything. Now essence has to be tasted. When you drink the rasna essence, when you do that kala katta or whatever drink that you make, then the essence is very important. Along with the drink, the company gives a small essence bottle. You put that.
Concentrate.
Yeah, concentrate. Even sometimes when you make some cake or something, then you put some essence to give that flavor like that. So a person can feel that or taste that essence through that when he is consuming that cake or when he is consuming that drink. So like that, when you consume water, then the taste in water, Krishna says, Rasoham Apsu Kaunteya, I am the essence. So Lord Krishna can be perceived as the essence in the day-to-day interactions we have with the material energy. Therefore he is saying, I am this in this and this in that. What other things does he say?
Light of the sun.
I am the light of the sun, then fragrance of the earth. Yeah. What is that? Don't invent new things.
I think we discussed
Light of both sun and moon. One is warm, one is cool. The sound is equal.
Omkar of the Om. Omkar in Vedas, Pranava.
Yeah, correct. Omkar in the Vedas, etc.
The sound in the thunder.
Otherwise, you can Ustadon ka Ustad. But anyway, so the Lord is saying so many things like that. Okay. And that's where we ended the last class, is it? Yes. And then finally in verse 12, now he starts talking to Arjuna about the 3 modes of material nature. Now it is an intense discussion on the impact of the 3 modes of material nature. Okay, that's where we saw. So let's go to verse number 12 and read that again along with the purport. Because last time I think we took a spot decision not to continue as time was up. 7.12.
Know that all states of being, be they goodness, passion or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am in one sense everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature, for they on the contrary are within me. You read the... Yeah? All the material activities in the world are conducted under the three modes of material nature. Although these material modes of nature are emanations from the Supreme Lord, Krishna, he is not subject to them. For instance, under the state laws, one may be punished, but the king, the lawmaker, is not subject to that law. Similarly, all the modes of material nature, goodness, passion and ignorance, are emanations from the Supreme Lord Krishna. But Krishna is not subject to material nature. Therefore, he is Nirguna, which means that these gunas or modes, although issuing from him, do not affect him. That is one of the special characteristics of Bhagavad, or the Supreme Personality of God.
What are the points here?
These words clearly refutes Mayavad. I don't know how Mayavadis can actually support the theory, because it's clearly saying that I am independent, I am not under the modes of material nature.
So the Mayavadis interpret that Krishna is a manifestation of Brahman. Brahman is beyond the three modes of material nature. He is not subordinate to the three modes. So you are Brahman, so you are the self. Therefore the self is not subject. That's how they interpret everything.
But how to they gain the philosophy, because there are many this thing. This has gained a lot of potency, and they are producing too much these things. Mayavads, they are from where they get the ingredients to base their theory.
Nothing. So in Kali Yuga, there is no dearth of cheaters. So we will see that today. We will see where they get it. Because the Lord is today talking. It's a good question. It's very valid for today's discussion, because the Lord says, who are the four types of people who do not surrender to me? That's what we are going to see today. And then he follows it up by saying, who are the four types of people who surrender to me? And out of the people who he's saying that those who do not surrender to him, this is one category, who invent their own philosophy. Okay. Because human beings have got four defects: making mistakes, being in illusion, cheating propensity, senses are imperfect. So because we all have cheating propensity, then Prabhupada writes in Isopanisad, we all want to theorize. We want to invent our own philosophy. No? Khud ka phanda dete, no? Like that. We can give. Yesterday only someone was talking to me. Yeah. Yesterday only Krishna Prabhu was talking to me. You know? Yesterday night we were having a conversation, and he said that one of his friends, who is also our senior god brother, he knows his wife's brother is a big shot in one big software company. Okay. I will not tell the name of the company because I'm camera, but and he said that I was invited for a wedding. This person is one of the founders of that company. So he said that when he went, they gave him Bhagavad Gita, and he started giving his own philosophy after that. My philosophy is like this. He says. So even people who are in responsible positions in the corporate world, who otherwise never talk indiscriminately to the customer, the more senior you become in an organization, what differentiates? The more you are very careful about what you speak. Correct? If you see big people who are in big positions in organizations, what differentiates them from the common man? The down the line, the operator, he can speak so many things. That's okay. But when you go up, then you have to really measure your words. What to speak, when to speak, how to speak, who to speak to, who not to speak to, who to speak to through body language, who to speak through explicitly, how to give implicit message, how to spread grapevine information. So it's all about that. Now, people who have mastered this art in material life still talk rubbish when it comes to spiritual life. Then they start saying, no, I don't need any reference point. This is my philosophy. Like that. In company, you don't say, no, I don't need to refer to management gurus. This is my philosophy. I don't need to refer to the principles of supply chain management. This is my philosophy. Will anyone talk like that? No. There they'll say, as per the process, as per the principles, etc., etc. But when it comes to devotional service, then they easily say this. So this is very surprising. And such people are described in today's verse. Such people are going to exist in Kali Yuga. This is because of cheating propensity. Because they think they have mastered the material energy and how to manipulate it, they think that the same principles, they have false ego because of that. So they think they are masters of all knowledge. I have mastered the art of doing business, So I know I worked out the trick of also who is God. They somehow have this false ego. They think that I know everything just because I know something. Even at workplace we see somebody who is handling a very specific area. He becomes very expert in that area. He starts throwing his weight around in the office like that. He will not speak properly. He will not respond to you like that. Because why? Because he knows one small area in one small company, which is in one small country, which is in one small continent, which is in one small earth, which is insignificant when you compare to the size of the sun, which is so small, the size of the universe, and we think we are very big people. That is the problem. And being under that tiny position, then we think that we know everything, and then we have attitude. So this is called as cheating propensity. All this is coming from false ego, and that is where the three modes of material nature act. The three modes of material nature, coupled with the false ego, make someone act like this. Because they are envious of the Lord. That's why they do this.
When they are successful in material things, they think they are God. They think they got everything. That's the problem. So they won't listen anything. Even if you say anything, they won't say anything. So what you are saying, I am a successful man. What you are telling me?
Correct. Haribol, you are allowed to be silent. Don't discuss anything. If you want to discuss, the other room is there.
Yeah, that's the way it's
Yeah. Good point.
Prabhupada mentioned in many places in Bhagavad and Bhagavatam also is because fourth fund of knowledge. He used the word the fourth fund of knowledge. So they don't have funda and then because of that, he provides the absolute knowledge. What they're supposed to have. So they do speculation and they have the whole knowledge.
Got a question. You said something, maybe it was discussed in the last class, that three modes of material nature in combination with the false ego. What is the false ego? Is it possible that the false ego is not there because the modes of material nature will still be there?
The modes of material nature will act on us the moment we have false ego.
Otherwise they don't act on a soul.
True ego means what? What is true ego? I am servant of Krishna. The moment the jiva thinks differently, then it comes under the three modes of material nature. Immediately, Maya Jhapatiya Dhare. Immediately then three modes act on us. Then either you start thinking that life is for enjoyment at the cost of others, or life is for working very hard and doing your duties, or life is for doing good activities to everyone. So either mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness. Then you start thinking all these things. But then true ego is what? That I am a servant of the Lord. The goal of life is not to live an indiscriminate life, eating and drinking. The goal of life is not to work like dogs and asses in the office. The goal of life is not even to open charitable institutions and just be a good man. Most people have this philosophy. If you tell them Bhakti, they'll say, no. I believe in being good to everyone. And they're saying, so who is defining what is good? हमारा खुद का definition है. What is good? And then some people will say that, I don't want to harm anyone, in my life. I don't want to harm anyone. Do you eat meat? हाँ, meat तो खाते हैं हम लोग. Are you not harming the animal? नहीं, वो तो अलग है. Then they'll say, this is what the answer you will get. वो तो क्या खाना है ना वो. We don't get vegetarian in Australia. No? We come here, therefore we eat. In India, where you eating? हाँ, India में भी खाते थे. तो इंडिया जाके छोड़ दोगे मीट? नहीं, वो क्या है, उनको पसंद है ना. Something like that. This is how the conversation will go. You can't go. See, what can you go inside? What is that called? Empty vessels can only make noise. They can talk something, but there will be nonsense. There is no depth in that conversation. It is just a superficial conversation. That's all. Okay. So, any other points here?
False ego means, I was just hearing in one of the Prabhupada lectures, he says false ego means thinking oneself as a body. Is that the one?
Sorry?
False ego means thinking oneself is a body.
Correct. False ego means aham mameti. Last time we discussed, no? Janasya mohoyam aham mameti. I and mine. False ego means that I am the center of the universe. I am the controller. and everything belongs to me and everything is meant for my enjoyment. That's called as false ego. True ego means one who has sambandha, abhideya and parayojana. That is true ego. One who knows that we are insignificant servants of the Supreme. That is called as true ego. Okay. So in the previous section, the Bhagavad Gita dealt with knowing the Lord Krishna's spiritual plus material energies. And He as the source, the cause of all causes, including the three modes of material nature, plus the Lord as the essence of everything. Not only the cause of all causes, but the essence of everything. Now, verse 12, which we had discussed just now, ends that discussion. That particular thread is now ending of para prakriti and apara prakriti. The spiritual and the material energies. And in verse 12, the Lord discusses the inconceivable relationship between Himself and His energies. Again, three modes of material nature also His energies. He is describing the relationship. All rests upon Him. Yet He is independent. That's the point He is making. He is saying that I am the cause of the three modes of material nature. The interplay of the three modes of material nature is a handiwork of my creation. It is my design. But I am not subjugated by the three modes of material nature. So essentially He is saying I am the creator, but I am not subjugated. My creation cannot subjugate me to its laws. Because I am the lawmaker, but I am above those laws. That's what He is trying to say in verse 12. This is called as Achintya Bheda. So the question comes now. We saw that
So there is a reference here. Under the state laws, one may be punished, but the king, the lawmaker, is not subject to the law. Is this the right way to understand, or is this just a reference for us? Because if we take current situation, if we take a parliament as a law-making body, members in the body are also subject to law, isn't it?
I think the president is not subject to law.
President is not subject to law. So your president suppose kill someone in what happens? I don't know. Seriously not. I don't know modern law.
That will go to the
criminal law.
That will go to the parliament.
You go to parliament.
But he will get, says he's got an immunity till he is the president, so he'll be first removed from that power and then only person. What's called as impeachment.
Yeah. And when he's removed, he is no longer the king then.
Yes.
Prabhupada is talking about monarchy, the king, golden king.
Some laws are not applicable for parliament members.
Okay.
Yes, still some laws still.
Like financial, if the person do some financial things or motion, CBI cannot directly go to the member of parliament and seize all these things.
Okay.
They have to go in a certain way. It's not like a common person how it should be acting.
That's why so many that's why all these
That's why they can eat as much as they want.
Yeah. So what are the questions, sir?
Is the inference right here?
Yeah.
Saying that state lawmakers are above the law.
No, I think what
It's just an analogy Prabhupada is giving, but you can't take that very literally. It's an analogy Prabhupada is saying, that king is usually above most laws because he is the king. He is a lawmaker in one sense.
He's talking about ideal lawmakers here. If he is an ideal king, obviously he will not do anything which will, violate the laws. Then.
But he is not saying king is pure. He is not talking about the purity of kings. He is saying that the king is above the laws which he makes.
Is above the three modes of material nature, who is already acting on above the three modes of material nature.
King would be subject to material nature, but back then I think Prabhupada is mentioning about the king who was considered the representation of the Lord.
That is what she is saying.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So based on that, probably back then it was not, but not the current situation. They are temporary kings anyway. They are not king kings. They are parliament members who are temporary for 4 years or 5 years. Back after that, they will be normal citizens anyway. So whereas king back then rules continuously. There was no time period that they ruling the country and afterwards.
Let's go back and read it. Maybe what your point is right. Let's read that. It says, for instance, under the state laws, one may be punished, but the king, the lawmaker, is not subject to that law.
But the king, comma, the lawmaker.
King,
King is
comma,
make the
the
laws.
lawmaker is not subject to that law. I don't know how it used to work before, in the early days, where the king was above the law.
No, before, even in Nepal, before democracy was there, in Nepal the king cannot be subject to any law. He cannot be questioned at all. In Nepal.
Okay. Maybe that was the feature of monarchy, it looks like.
Yeah. He could not be subject to any law.
Isn't there even now, Prabhu, there's something called immunity for diplomats and...
Yeah, it's there, correct.
Now?
Diplomatic immunity is still there. Correct. Anyway, the central point here for us is that Lord Krishna is not subjugated by his laws. That is the key point. See, the king can still fall down because the king is also Tatastha Shakti. We should not forget that. The king may be a pure king, but Prabhupada says all of you are pure. Somehow or the other, Prabhupada says, because we are Tatastha Shakti, we are vulnerable to come under the influence of the material energy, and we have, right? But Krishna is not like that. He is not Tatastha. He is Bhagavan himself. So therefore, he cannot be subjugated by his material energy. There is no way that it can happen.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
As a soul, are we subject to the material modes of as a soul itself, not into this body. As a soul itself, are we subject to the material modes of nature?
Yes. So it's like, if you take an egg, inside the egg there is that albumen and the white, correct? And outside the egg is the shell, correct? Now, the albumen and the egg, if you just take that example, the white, they are capable of being trapped inside that shell, but they don't become one with that shell. In one sense, the shell is trapping them, but the cell is not able to alter the nature of the white and the albumen. Does it make sense or not? It's a covering. It's like, okay, let's take a simple example. You take a box and you place sandwich inside that box, right? In one sense, now the sandwich cannot come out till the box is opened, right? But the box has not contaminated the sandwich. The sandwich cannot be made as a box by the box. It is covering that box. That's all.
The nature won't change.
So the soul's nature will not change. It is simply a covering on top of that.
Basically, soul itself is as it is, isn't it? Like even if it is in the covering of this body,
correct?
The body is the body or the subtle body or the gross body. They are suffering all the time.
Correct.
The soul itself is not suffering at any stage, isn't it?
Soul
or is the soul
is
suffering as well? Because it's saying the soul is
the suffering of the soul is illusory.
It's illusory only. I'm talking in the real sense as it is. Will the soul actually suffer at any stage? Because
no.
Soul cannot be.
The soul
cannot be done anything.
We studied that in second chapter. No? The soul cannot be killed.
If the soul cannot be subject to the material laws, in the similar way, Krishna cannot be subject to the material laws as well,
because the difference between our soul. That's what Prabhupada writes that. Prabhupada says, we are Anu and the Lord is Vibhu. He is infinite and we are infinitesimal. Because we are infinitesimal, therefore we can be subjected to that.
Not in the real sense, but it's illusory only.
Yeah, that way it is all illusory only.
Yeah.
Correct. So, but we have that vulnerability because of our size.
Yeah.
He doesn't have because of his size.
Yeah.
Because he is, and also he is a controller. It's not only a matter of size. But
recently I read Sankarsha Das Adhikari Maharaj's reply. His same question was there. He is telling soul experiences all the pains and all. Without soul, body cannot experience. It's a dead matter. So it has to be experienced by soul itself.
Correct.
Yeah.
Soul experience.
The soul is the experiencer. The body is never the experiencer.
Subtle body is the one which makes it realize that it's suffering, isn't it?
But subtle body is also material only, no? It's not spiritual.
Then we said like soul is just going through the illusory phase that it's
correct.
suffering.
But soul is still experiencing the delusion, no?
Soul is making it realize it's suffering, isn't it? Soul is not actually suffering. Or is the soul actually suffering?
The soul is getting an illusory experience of suffering. But the soul thinks the soul is suffering because of the illusory experience. Because the soul thinks that I am suffering. See, I'll give you a simple example. If you have heard of Ramana Maharishi's Charitra, Ramana Maharishi was a big yogi, like that. So he had a garbangal in his hand, a cancer, a tumor. So when the doctor wanted to operate, he said, I'll give you anesthesia. He said, what anesthesia? I am not this body anyway. So which means he was so disconnected from that body. So he was not experiencing anything. He said, your garbangal hoga, kuch bhi hoga. So you said, you operate, I am not the body, so where is the question of pain for me? Like that. So this is a very, it's completely out of the bodily conception of life. Like that.
Can we say that when the soul identifies itself with the body,
Correct.
Otherwise it is not actually suffering. Only when it is identifying
Only when it is identifying.
the body is actually suffering.
Like Sridhar Maharaj always says, no, that
yes.
Misery is compulsory but suffering is optional.
Yeah.
So Sridhar Maharaj says that point. So like Ramana Maharshi was not suffering even though he was undergoing that without anesthesia.
Good point. So the Lord has discussed his inconceivable relationship between himself and his energies. Now, throughout this thread, where we are saying, Lord is saying, I am the taste of water, I am the light of the sun, etc., etc. So essentially what the Lord is trying to say is that I am everywhere and anywhere. This is the omnipresence of the Lord. I am present inside this wall. Yesterday was Narsingha Chaturdashi. He is everywhere. He is everywhere, inside every atom. And he is also there, present in the subtle form of the taste of water. I don't know whether to call it subtle or gross also. The taste of water is, it may have some gross element which gives the taste, but again it's subtle. Or the aroma of the rain when it meets the earth. So, the Lord in that sense is everywhere. He is into everything. He is inside everything. He is outside of everything. This is also mentioned in the Chatushloki of Srimad Bhagavatam, which I by in your house. Pravishtani apravishtani tata teshu na teshu aham. You remember that? We did in your house. I remember that verse many years back when you were doing Bhaktivedanta course. That time the Lord says, what is that verse? Yata mahanti bhutani. You can note down this verse. It's a very important verse. These are called as the Chatushloki of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The 4 more important verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Similarly, there is a Chatushloki in the Bhagavad Gita also. Which are the Chatushloki in Bhagavad Gita? Which one? Aham sarvasya prabhavo. That is all Chatushloki. 4 more important verses in the line, in sequence. And then Machita, Machgata, Prana, Bodhayanta, Parasparam. And third one is Tesham Satata Yuktam, Vajatam Priti Purvakam. Fourth one is Tesham Evanu Kampartha Aham Agyanatam Tama. So these are 4 verses in the 10th chapter. Like that, Srimad Bhagavatam also has got 4 verses, which are emperor verses. They all come in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, was it 2nd or 3rd canto? 2nd canto, sorry. 2nd canto. The 33rd chapter or something. I can't remember exactly now. I may be mistaken. But so, in that verse, one of the most important verses the Lord says is Yata Mahanti Bhutani Bhuteshu Chavacheshvana Pravishtani apravishtani tata teshu nateshvaha. The Lord says, I am inside of everything, at the same time I am outside of everything. Pravishta means what? Pravesh karna. Andar bhi hu aur bahar bhi hu. I enter also and I am not inside also. Like that. So it's a set of very esoteric verses. Those are with very strong purport by Srila Prabhupada. Very technical section of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Lord is everywhere. He is inside everything, outside of anything. He is inside every atom, which gives the power for the electrons to rotate. We saw that last class, right? We discussed that. Now, if He is inside everything, if He is outside everything, if He is everywhere, as He says, why are we not able to see Him? That question is coming inside Arjuna's mind. If He is everywhere, why are some people not able to see Him? And that forms the next discussion thread. That is the connection between verse 12 and the verse 13, 14, etc. So Lord Krishna answers that. So in verses 13 and 14, the Lord In 12, the Lord has described that He is the supreme controller and He controls the three modes of material nature. And therefore, what is the instruction Lord Krishna is telling? Therefore, you surrender unto me. Therefore, you can cross the three modes of material nature very easily. Daivi Hesha Gunamai Mamamaya Duraptyaya. Else, it is very difficult to cross the ocean of birth, disease, old age, and death. But after knowing this also, some people do not surrender. So this is the discussion thread which is going to happen now. So let's go to 13. Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion and ignorance, the whole world does not know me. Now he is giving the impact of being subjugated by the three modes of material nature. Deluded by the three modes, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. Krishna Prabhu.
The whole world is enchanted by the three modes of material nature. Those who are bewildered by these three modes cannot understand that transcendental to this material nature is the Supreme Lord, Krishna. Every living entity under the influence of material nature has a particular type of body and a particular type of psychological and biological activities accordingly. There are four classes of men functioning in the three material modes of nature. Those who are purely in the mode of goodness are called Brahmanas. Those who are purely in the mode of passion are called Kshatriyas. Those who are in the modes of both passion and ignorance are called Vaishyas. Those who are completely in ignorance are called Sudras. And those who are less than that are animals are animal life. However, these designations are not permanent. I may be either a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or whatever. In any case, this life is temporary. But although life is temporary and we do not know what we are going to be in the next life, by the spell of this illusory energy, we consider ourselves in terms of this bodily conception of life. And we thus think that we are American, Indian, Russian or Brahmanas, Hindu, Muslim, etc. And if we become entangled with the modes of material nature, then we forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is behind all these modes. So Lord Krishna says that living entities deluded by these three modes of nature do not understand that behind the material background is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many different kinds of living entities, human beings, demigods, animals, etc. And each and every one of them is under the influence of material nature, and all of them have forgotten the transcendent personality of Godhead. Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, and even those who are in the mode of goodness, cannot go beyond the impersonal Brahman conception of the absolute truth. They are bewildered before the Supreme Lord in His personal feature, which possesses all beauty, opulence, knowledge, strength, fame, and renunciation. When even those who are in the goodness cannot understand, what hope is there for those in passion and ignorance? Krishna consciousness is transcendental to all these three modes of material nature, and those who are truly established in Krishna consciousness are actually liberated.
What are the points?
These modes of nature is bewildering the humans, because of which we forget the hope.
Yeah, very good point.
One needs to transcend the three modes in order to know the Lord.
Prabhupada repeatedly insists about this point. The person, people who are in Krishna consciousness are actually liberated every time, with every opportunity. I think even in this very chapter, he was mentioning about this second mechanisms. So that means he is speaking of three modes of material nature. Though the modes of material nature, every step going to bewilder us. But once we take the shelter into the Krishna consciousness, it's no more effective. Though it's acting on us, but it's more effective.
It's also saying here that by the spell of this illusory energy, we consider ourselves in terms of the bodily concept of life.
What are some of the practical examples?
We cannot go beyond the Brahman, absolute truth.
Even
Means what? How is that connected to this?
So it is like those who are in the modes of transcendent personality of God, right?
Such people you are saying cannot.
Yeah, such
Cannot.
people
Oh
are
yeah.
not.
Sorry. Good point.
What was your question? Practical examples in the terms of?
What are some of the practical examples?
If you identify yourself as Hindu, Muslim.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or pardon? No, go ahead. Life is? Yeah. Correct. So most of the activity in this world is going on between countries. And person who is sitting inside that particular country is identifying himself as that country. So our whole life centers around these false identities, our philosophies, our likes, our dislikes, our nature, everything is molded around that identity. That is a big problem. That is how false ego captures us. So in this section, the Lord is emphasized as Nirguna. Now we discussed in Milpak program also last week. Nirguna means what? Above the three modes of material nature. The three modes of material nature come under which subject matter? Prakriti. There are 5 subject matters of Bhagavad Gita. The three modes of material nature come under the topic of Prakriti. And the Lord is above the Prakriti. He is above the three modes of material nature. Now, as we discussed, it is the Visarga which gives us ultimately our body. We saw the verse. Which verse? Anyone remembers? How do we get our bodies? Karmana deva netrena jantur deha upapate. We saw last time, no? Striya pravishta udaram pumsareta kanashraya. Under the divine supervision, then one gets one's material body. Right?
based on the karma, sir.
Based on the karma. Now, because the Lord does not enter in that manner, then he is not subjugated to get that kind of a material body. Because we have material bodies, we think the Lord's body is also material. Because we think we are subjugated by the three modes of material nature, the Lord is also subjugated by the three modes of material nature. But because he is not subjugated by those gunas, therefore he is called as Nirguna. We get our qualities, we get our nature, how? Someone has got a hot temper, someone has got a cool personality. You know? Someone likes spicy food, someone likes bland food. Someone cannot live without non-veg, someone cannot see someone eating non-veg. Correct, no? For someone, the smell of that, flesh cooking, appetite, bhook laga hai. And for someone, vomit aa raha hai. You know? Just imagine, two different beings, two different reactions, same situation. This is because of our natures. These natures we derive under the subjugation of the three modes of material nature. Of course, a devotee also cannot stand that. That's a different topic. But likes, dislike. But at the same time, devotee also is very obsessed with certain vegetarian food. And the meat eater thinks that how can you eat this? How can you only eat this? People ask us. So they cannot appreciate these people cannot appreciate them, but ultimately everyone is a victim of his or her own natures. So the material energy, in that sense, gives us our material natures. Actually, all of us are Satchidananda. But we have different natures sitting in this room. All of us have different natures. Why? Because of the subjugation of three modes of material nature. So, all of us have certain qualities because of that. Correct? Nature and qualities, same thing. Certain qualities, therefore certain nature, or vice versa. Some nature because of some qualities. You can say that. So we all have this good. We all have good, right? But the Lord is called as Nirguna. But we have to see it carefully. It does not mean that the Lord does not have any qualities. Please understand this carefully. Nirguna doesn't mean the Lord does not have any qualities. It means that the Lord does not have any material qualities. So this has to be always remembered. Even when they all are preaching outside, this question will come to you. People will ask, we have always heard that the Lord is Nirgun Nirakar. So Nirgun doesn't mean the Lord does not have any qualities. It doesn't mean that, I'll come to the questions, just give me a minute. It doesn't mean that he is insentient. Does it make sense or not? Let me give you an example. Okay, this is a very apt example which we have recently studied in Srimad Bhagavatam, and I simply like that example because it clarifies so many things. It is said, the discussion happens, and yesterday Gopalandesh Prabhu was also touching upon that section in the context of Narsimha pastime. It is said, the discussion happens in the 7th canto, is the Lord partial or is the Lord impartial? Because at the end of the 6th canto, what has happened? The Lord has protected Indra. Because Diti wanted to kill Indra in the 6th canto. For those of you who have not read, don't worry about it. Just understand that Diti wanted to kill Krishna. And the Lord somehow protected Diti. Diti wanted to kill Indra. But the Lord somehow protected Indra. Right? So in the next section, and also the Lord protected Indra from Vritasura also. Right? So seeing all this, then Parikshit Maharaj is asking Sukadeva Goswami, the Lord always seems to be siding the demigods. So is he partial? Because the Lord is a supreme father. Now father cannot be partial. As a mother, if you have 2 children, you are not partial to one. Correct? So how can the Lord be partial? This is the question that Parikshit Maharaj asks. In reply, Prabhupada writes purport. Of course, Sukadeva Goswami is also mentioning that the Lord is not partial. Partial, who is partial? Human beings are partial. Now that is a different mood. But we are talking about the material world. Yeah, you are right. Devotees are partial. Madhyamadhikaris are partial. But we are not talking that theme right now. Right now the theme is human beings are, conditioned souls are partial. In office, why do we say somebody getting promotion? Because of partiality, we say. Right? Either someone is getting promotion because he is a man and women are not getting that promotion. We see that kind of partiality. Someone is getting a promotion because he is like in my earlier company, I will not name that company, all Bengalis used to get promotion. You see that, the whole hierarchy is Bengali only, from top to bottom, disciplic succession. And this company was merged with another company. And I was working with the other company. In the other company, the whole line is South Indians only. Subramanyam, Rajagopalan, Bhaskaran, everything like that. Here, Roy, Ghosh, Gupta, Das Gupta, I will not mention the 2 names, but these companies merged together and the Bengali lineage was more powerful because this merged and then they retained. Therefore, all the directors and all had to go out of the company. Like that. So, therefore, this partiality comes because of our false identity. Does it make sense or not? I am identifying with my state where I took birth and therefore I am partial to someone. Partiality can come because of gender. Partiality usually otherwise happens because of someone being nice to us. Then we are partial towards them. 2 people are doing this, 2 people are performing very well. One of them does not tell you good morning every day you enter office. The other one is always telling you good morning. He is always asking you how's your child's health. Because he knows that you handle his appraisal or her appraisal like that. They are being extra nice to you. And then we also are extra nice to our bosses. We are taking artificial interest in baseball. We don't care who won actually. Hey, how's the baseball going? Oh, the team won, or Saints won, or Demons won, Putti. How do we care? We don't care. but we take artificial interest. Why? Because so that the boss may be partial to us. We are trying to generate that extra bit over and above what the work is, right? So partial, and the boss also likes, because his false ego is, even if he's wearing a suit and coming, you say, oh, very nice suit, you're looking really good today, like that. So that he will remember in the appraisal. Or whatever decisions he takes, you tell that, you always taken very good decision, like that. So then his partiality, he likes. Why? Because his false ego is satisfied by that. So he wants always those positive messages from you, so he can be very comfortable in his zone of pride. He also wants that subtle glorification from you all the time, in response to which he rewards you with his partiality. But in the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada writes purport that Krishna does not want any such glorification from anyone. He says that whether you glorify Krishna or whether you blaspheme Krishna, for him it does not affect him at all. Because Sukadeva Goswami is asking that Shishupal, he was blaspheming Krishna all the time. How come he got Sayujya Mukti? When Krishna cut off his head, Shishupal came and then went inside Krishna's body. He merged into Krishna's body. How he got that liberation?
The church.
Yeah. How he got that liberation? Sayujya Mukti. That is what question is asked. Like that. Now how do we understand that? So in the Prabhupada writes, actually whether you glorify Krishna or whether you blaspheme Krishna, the Lord is not affected anything. Then when you read that purport, then only if you read that section of Bhagavatam, you will think, people say, what's a pachyderm, in English? What's a pachyderm? A thick-skinned animal. An elephant is called as a pachyderm. In office also there are many pachyderms. And we also have to become a thick-skinned animal to work in the office environment. People will abuse us, but we have to pretend as if he didn't say anything. Oh, is it? Thank you for the inputs. Right? So we have to become thick-skinned to be able to work like that. So when you read this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, you will think that, oh, Lord Krishna is very thick-skinned, looks like. No emotions, nothing. You will just sit. You glorify him. Oh Lord, Ishvara Paramakrishna. Or you blaspheme him. You are shouting at him and then you are trying to shake him. Hare, boss, who are you? You almost tend to mundanize. You tend to think like that. But on the other hand, if you see, he is not insentient. On the other hand, when Mother Yashoda comes, then he yearns for that affection. He reciprocates with her. He reciprocates with every single mood of Radharani. Radharani reciprocates. So his reciprocation is much more intense than our reciprocation. So on one hand, it is said that he is not affected. On the other hand, when Radharani yells at him, he is very affected by that. Or Satyabhama goes into the Kal Kodri, then the Lord goes there. And when Rukmini starts crying, then the Lord is like that. So he is not, or when he sees his devotee suffering, then the Lord is very responsive. When he sees Prahalad, then the Lord came as nursing Avatar. He changes the rules of the game for his devotee. So is he insentient or is he, So these kind of things we have to understand. So the point in this context is that the Lord has qualities, but his qualities are not material. His qualities are transcendental. That is the point. So whatever reciprocation the Lord does, whatever qualities he has by which he interacts with us, those are transcendental qualities. Those are not material qualities. So Nirguna means simply that his qualities are not material. Doesn't mean no gun. Nirgul doesn't mean no gun. Nirgun means no material qualities or full of transcendental qualities. That is the correct understanding of Nirgun. As much as Nir-Akar. Akar means what? Form. Nir-Akar means he does not have a material form, which means the Lord does not get his material body from Brahma. Under Karmana Deva Netrena Jantur Deha Upapate. That doesn't apply to the birth of the Lord. That is the way we all are born into this material body. But the birth of the Lord is given separately. It says, Janma Karmacha Me Divyam. He says, my birth and disappearance are Divyam, are transcendental. And one who understands that, then such a person, Evam Vyo Veti Tattvata. Tyaktva Deham Punarjanma Naiti Mamita Sarjana. So such a person who understands I am beyond Nirgun Nirakar, such a person will be actually will not be subjugated by the pangs of material miseries. Will not be impacted by the pangs of material miseries. Okay, so this particular purport is important from that angle. So the Lord is not subjugated by the three modes of material nature. He is Nirguna. Sorry.
You said Lord doesn't have the material quality, but there is nothing which is existing without Lord. So even material quality have to come out of the Lord only. So how can Lord not have the material quality?
Lord is not subjugated by material qualities.
He must be having it, not being subjugated.
He is the cause of material qualities also. He is the cause of all causes. No? So he is the cause of the three modes of material nature. Yes, you are right.
Something like that.
But he is not impacted by it. You had a question?
Yeah, when you mentioned Nirguna and Nirakari, Mayavadis usually take that and try to say that Lord doesn't have a shape and form, doesn't have a form and he's under the modes of that is what they do.
So now suppose a Mayavadi argues with you. Suppose you go to a preaching program and they say that you are saying that the Lord is having a form. Therefore you are limiting the Lord. Form means what? That which limits. Correct? How will you answer that question?
Subset and universal.
What is it? Who wants one person answer?
Lord is actually
They will not understand that. Answer in a simple way.
I can tell you. I'll try it. If you have a form, why the person who created you doesn't have a form?
This is a simple way of answering that question. If you and I have a form, you are saying that you and I have something which the person who created does not have. That means the Lord lacks something which all of us have. Then how he is God? That's one logic. Chidananda is correct. But people who are new will not understand Chidananda word. Do you agree? First time people are coming for Bhakti Ursha program, they will not understand Sachidananda. If they are saying that you are limiting, we are saying, no, I am not limiting, you are limiting. You are saying that the God does not have something. I am not saying that Lord does not have something. I am not saying that God is formless. I am not saying that. I am not limiting him. What is my view? My view is, there is no my view. We have scriptural view, Shastra Chakshu. Our view is what? Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan. The absolute truth is both impersonal, formless as well as with form. We are saying the Lord has both because he is the universal set. You said universal set here, right? Yeah. So he is the universal set. The subset will have all the qualities of the universal set. So you and I, if we have something, then the Lord should have that. No? It's all coming from him.
Does that mean like giving a form to the Lord means limiting him?
Giving a form, we are not giving a form to the Lord, no? We is who? We are not giving a form. He decides the form in which he comes. Sometimes he can, see you and I, our forms are decided by our past karma. But the Lord's form is not decided by his past karma. The Lord is beyond all karmic laws. The Lord can come as Varaha avatar, just to, as a boar, to lift the earth. He can come as half man, half lion. There is no species like that in creation, which has got what is that? Lion's face and human body. There is only one person I know other than Lord. One Rahul Roy was there. He had that. Okay. A horror movie was there. But that was fiction. It was only Bollywood. In real life, there is no such species. Correct, no? So, yeah. He is thinking of the movie now. We are in Bhagavad Gita class. So there is no such species. So the Lord does not have, Lord's body is not governed by the laws of material nature. Though the Lord can get a body which the material nature can give you and me. He took the body of a fish. In which avatar was that? Matsya avatar. Fish avatar is, we also see fish like that. But the Lord took, in one sense the Lord is coming in that also. Coming that avatar where you are. Lord came a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with 2 hands, 2 legs. Like that. Just like all of us. Externally he was looking like anyone else.
But he's unborn.
But he is? Yeah, he's Aja. He's Aja, unborn. Okay, so the Lord is, form, another argument coming to your point is, form is limiting only for a human being. Form is limiting only for all of us. Form limits us. Form does not limit him. He is not limited by form as much as his form does not limit him. His form does not limit him. How many boars can lift the earth? How many boars? B-O-A-R-S. How many? Boar is like almost a hog, pig. How many pigs can lift a planet? So if you see, does the pig have strength to lift a planet? A boar with a tusks? No. Ordinary boars cannot do that. How many fishes have got the capability to expand to the size of the ocean? Correct? So this shows that the Lord is transcendental. He is not subjected by the laws which otherwise are fixed for a particular kind of body. Like that. A human being can only eat through the mouth. He can never eat through the ears. Right? But the Lord, even if he comes as a human being, he can eat through his eyes. He can do that. He can do anything. So he is not subjugated by the laws. Neither is he constrained by the body. So Nirguna, Nirakar. So who is limiting? The Mayavadis are limiting. Because they are saying, the impersonalists, that the Lord does not have something. So we are not limiting. So I think, so the result of this delusion is that one forgets the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is a delusion? Thinking that the Lord is also a mundane personality. Stop here. Prabhupada ki.